Daniel, do you have access to sharing your screen?
I'm trying. Can you see this?
Yes.
What about now as I've made it full screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is a presentation to Board 11 Youth Education Committee. I'm going to take us through the presentation. It's really just 4 parts. Again, a little bit on who we are. David knows us well, but there's a bunch of new members, so we're pleased to introduce ourselves to the new members. I've got a couple updates, which is really, the updates are really mostly about the resumption of our programs after COVID. Then I'm going to talk about our programs a little bit, some of our partner schools in East Harlem, and then a little bit about our scholarship programs, and then looking ahead, which just the looking ahead part is what I said before about just keep us in mind when you are working with schools and CBOs, because we're always looking to add to our partners. So who we are, it's a photo of some of the kids who came back to our on-site programs last month. You see John McEnroe in the background there with the white hair. So who we are, Sport Time Tennis Center is a facility at Randall's Island. It's a New York City Parks concession. It's been operating for a number of years. We worked with Board 11 over many years to improve the facility and to expand it. And on a parallel track to that, we worked with this committee in particular to make sure that we were reaching out into the school community and really connecting in a meaningful way. So really what we do is we try to expose, right now it's thousands of kids to tennis. These are kids who, are in school, probably may have no exposure to the sport whatsoever, but they can come to Randall's or we can go to them and we can introduce them to the sport, try to get them interested in it. And we're finding that a lot of kids, they may not have thought about tennis as an option for them initially or their parents, but once they kind of see it can be accessible through Sport Time, there's a real love for the game, and you'll see some stories about that later on. We provide free on-site programs at Randall's Monday to Friday for our school partners. One of the things that I will never forget is being at this committee like 6 years ago and hearing that, how important it was, because for a lot of our school partners, which I know this to be true, they're coming to us is maybe the only physical education that they have for that day. So we kind of fill, in some cases, a strategic, goal for the schools. In some cases in the past, we've even been able to give gym credit to our school partners because they didn't have a gym on site. So we've filled, kind of an important position for many of our partners. In addition to the programs we do to expose kids to the sport, we also have pathways for pursuing the sport kind of more competitively. So we work with, you'll see more about this in the scholarship section, but we work with our group classes. And then, oftentimes a kid will kind of show real interest and, a love for the game. And we've created pathways for them to kind of go from, kind of this free programs to more regular training programs, and then going on scholarship with us, and then hopefully taking the sport, as far as their, talent and love, will take them. And we are genuinely grateful to our partners, including Board 11, who stuck with us and have made critical introductions for us. Please stop me at any time if you have, questions or anything.
I'm just going to chime in very quickly, Daniel. It's been, and David's heard me say this probably 75 times, so he could probably do the presentation. But one of the things that's a bit unique about our programs is there are a lot of other sort of tennis program not-for-profits out there, and others who talk about the thousands of kids they've introduced to tennis. But that's generally a one-off. They come to some massive carnival, they touch a racket once or twice, and they never do it again. One of the things we have always been focused on versus playing this sort of numbers inflation game is making sure these kids have real exposure. Tennis, we hope kids will fall in love with tennis immediately. It can be a frustrating sport, so often it takes a little bit more than one shot, one chance to be on court or two chances to be on court. So all of our programs are designed to be either 17 or 34 weeks, or plus or minus in duration, usually 34, closer to 34. So the kids really get to learn and see if they love it. And we hope they do.
Thank you for that, Ben. So, COVID, pre-COVID, we were working with our partners every week. We had over 400 kids coming to, and in a senior center coming to Randall's every week, and most of those were from East Harlem, which is kind of our spiritual home in many ways. COVID hit in March, sport time shut down. When the tennis center reopened later that year, we tried to get our school partners to come back, but it wasn't possible. DOE, at the time, understandably had restrictions in place around transportation. Also, there was a lot of schools that were virtual and hybrid at the time. We created a virtual tennis program during COVID, which several schools, including one East Harlem school, are still using today. But really, after March of this year, when the DOE guidance allowed for transportation for field trips during the school day, we just kind of got super excited, and we reached out to all of our friends and partners, and we now have a little bit more expanded court capacity. So we've now doubled the number of partner schools that we had pre-pandemic. We welcomed our kids back last month in October. And as Ben said, we have a 34-week program. So they'll be with us through, next May, June at the end of the school year. We've got over 1,000 kids with us now every week, and as kind of this new, post-lockdown reality. So a little bit about our programs. We focus our outreach in East Harlem and in the Bronx, the two neighborhoods that really border and neighbor Randall's Island. Our programs, as Ben mentioned, are 34 weeks in duration, so kids can actually consistently, get a feel for holding a racket and hitting a ball over a prolonged period of time. We have up to 250 kids each day, at Randall's Island. At the end of the academic year, every May, we put on what's called a moving up ceremony. We couldn't use the word graduation because there was some restrictions around it, but it's our kind of graduation where kids, get certificates, rackets, and balls, and it kind of marks the completion of their education with us for that previous 34 weeks. We've provided over 16,000 hours of free tennis since 2012 to over 7,500 youth. And I mentioned this year, we've started to build a few more courts, so we've doubled our capacity. We've now got over 1,000 kids every week coming to Randall's for tennis between East Harlem and the South Bronx schools. And we're going to increase that again, as I'll come on to in a minute, to increase by next fall even more schools and more partners. So it's really it's very exciting for us because we're now scaling this kind of tennis education for a lot of kids. So we have 18 partner schools right now. 10 of them are East Harlem based. We got one East Harlem school not on this list, which is still working through with our virtual programs. But here are the schools we're currently working with. Some of these schools have been with us for a while. Others are new this year. So we're really excited about that. And these are our current partners. We just included some photos because they tell a better story than I could ever tell. These are 4 of our partner schools. You'll see others kind of sprinkled in throughout the deck, but these are all pictures that we've been able to take in the last couple of weeks because the kids have come back to us. CPE2, Mosaic Prep, PS 108, 155 are just 4 examples. And then kind of because we're so glad to be able to have kids back with us, there were a few partners and folks who helped us. DOE Office of School Wellness Programs met with us over the summer. We on our own did outreach to a lot of schools. Wellness programs helped us, and they promoted our programs to schools. We were told every school in East Harlem and Central Harlem during the summer via email. And then the superintendent who was with us earlier also met with us this summer and also promoted our programs, and to help solidify and build that relationship on a going forward basis, so that she and her team and wellness can kind of keep us in mind for schools that have interest or athletic needs. We want to fill those. And then Board 11 every year, they continue to promote our scholarship tryout. The most recent one was on June 11th. They promoted it to their lists, and so we just want to say thank you to our partners. Any questions before I go on? Okay. Hearing none. So for scholarships, this is really exciting for us too. So at Randall's Island, in fact, we should, we've had members of the board a few times actually come out to Randall's to see the facility and see the kids out there when they're there. We should totally arrange one if your committee and maybe the Parks Committee is interested. But Sport Time is there, and the John McEnroe Tennis Academy, which is John McEnroe's academy, it's a partner of ours, is also there. And scholarships are a component. It's not a huge component, but a component of what we do to try to kind of take the talent that is there and give them a kind of pathway to take it to college, or even hopefully professional careers for some. Scholarships are merit-based, so we evaluate. We've got really amazing tennis pros. They evaluate youth on a number of athletic benchmarks, as you kind of can imagine, through athletic combine type situations. One of the things that I'm really proud of, and so is Ben, and so is Ryan. We earlier on we were kind of noticing that our school-based programs are amazing. They expose kids to the sport. Their parents have their kids coming home with rackets and balls, and it's like a new thing for a lot of people. But we were realizing that there's a lot of kids who probably could be really good from East Harlem and the South Bronx if they had more time with the sport. So we created a scholarship program called the Excellence Program, which is really a bridge between our school-based programs and opportunities to go into the academy, where which is a citywide assemblage of, and regionally assemblage of tennis talent. So these are scholarships that that go out to youth from our school-based programs who are young kids who are phenomenal athletes who maybe could go to tennis or college on tennis versus trying to go through basketball or football or baseball or whatever. And it's been really successful, as you'll see a couple examples in a few minutes. We're awarding up to about 25 scholarships next month to schools that are to kids that are in our programs right now. We have award letters going out in December to parents to explain to them about what the scholarship is and kind of what it would mean for their kid if they were to take it in terms of more time, more instruction, all that. We're also increasing the Excellence Program. We're putting in more funding this year, so we can bring more tennis pros. We're expanding the hours on the weekend so that families, it's easier for families to come during the day. And we're extending the hours in the summertime as well to give more continuity for the kids. So we're really excited about it, and we've got 30 letters that are ready to go out. We've got the kids identified, so it's really exciting time for us.
Just one quick point about college scholarships, because about 50% of the college tennis scholarships across the country go to folks who are not born in this country, who don't, they just come from other countries to here. So there's a lot of opportunity for people here who grew up here, who live here, to excel and then get those scholarships. I'm not trying to ace out other people, but I'd much rather see that be 25% and have another 25% come from East Harlem or wherever. So unlike football or basketball at this point, which are incredibly, incredibly difficult scholarships to get, these are scholarships that are much more within reach. So that's why, I mean, it'd be great if we got a professional player someday. That would make me happy. But what makes me most happy is when I see the kids work their way through this and then are able to go to college for free. So that's sort of pretty important. There's a lot available.
Yeah. It is tough to become a competitive tennis player, but even at a youth level, it's really competitive. However, we have good success stories. These are two of our recipients, Isabella and Dylan. Isabella and Dylan came to Sport Time as second graders. So Isabella's in 6th and Dylan's in 9th grade, in high school now. They started out in our weekly programs. Both, as I said, kind of showed, interest. Their parents were on board. It's got to be a conversation with everyone, the kids, the parents, because it becomes a commitment to go to the academy. But they're at the McEnroe Academy now. They're competing in tournaments, metro and regional tournaments. They're great players, and if you ask both of them, they'll tell you they want to go to college on scholarship, for tennis. And this is hugely encouraging for us. And I think it's the proof point that the programs work. And as we continue to scale, I think this is going to be a really interesting story, for us and for our partners and for East Harlem and the South Bronx.
And Isabella's quote is one of my favorites. It has a lot meaning. It has lots of meaning beyond tennis. So she's something.
Don't let the fear of faulting keep you from an ace.
Yes.
And then looking ahead, this is our last slide. I don't want to talk forever. So we, as I said, we think we've made a good start. We're proud of the work we've done. But we kind of also think we've only begun to scratch the surface of the impact that we can have. We have the infrastructure in place. We're going to have more courts, and we've got the scholarships in place. And as we grow, we're going to increase our investment in the community. We've doubled the number of schools. By fall of next year, we'll have a few more courts online. We'll be at full capacity. And so we will increase our community partners by an additional 50%, so that we can take on, I think, up to 10, maybe more schools, by fall of next year. As always, East Harlem is going to be given the preference on that. Our offsite and after school programs are resuming in the spring. We're talking to schools right now about our partners right now about maybe going to them in the spring and bringing the show to them. As well, we've had CBO partners in the past to do offsite work. So, our ask respectfully is what I said at the top of the call. We'll share this deck with you. You guys have so many, meetings and partners and schools that you know of. If you think there's a school or a CBO that may be a good fit, or maybe of interest in a program like this, that you reach out to us. There's Ben Schlansky's email address. I can put mine in the chat. We're not strangers, and keep us in mind, because we would love to keep working together.
Yeah, and just sort of for the smaller kids, you can see in actually the picture on the top right there, those are red balls. So basically, littler kids play with balls that don't bounce as high on smaller nets with smaller rackets, so they're able to act like real tennis players and swing like real tennis players at where they are in development. So tennis is much less frustrating. But those nets can basically be dropped almost anywhere. So if there are community centers, if there are community rooms in NYCHA housing, if there are those can sort of, big courts can't really be dropped anyway, but those can be. So you know, even if it's not schools, even if it's other locations, if they exist, we can do programs there. So just something to keep in mind. I think that's what we did with you, David, right?
Absolutely. You come
Yeah.
to we used the gym and the outside yard until we lost. And I really want to say I thank you both for the presentation. I also thank you for all the accommodations we've asked over the years that you've incorporated into the program. And it really seems like we have to do a better job of reaching out and making sure we get those people there. But you know, as Rosa indicated in the chat, it's nice to see all those schools in East Harlem that are participating in this particular program at sport time. And you know, I think we've given you hell in the past through 2 committees, and you've responded, you know, and even when you've afforded those scholarships, sometimes we as the community have failed at getting those extra slots or making sure you got children. But it's nice to hear that you're coming back to CBOs. I got that big yard at Lexington that we could use for after school program in the spring. So I would definitely love to speak to you further about that opportunity, you know, and how we could also partner, you know, to increase the number of schools also. CPE2 is one of the schools. I'm also a CC member, Daniel, since I think the last time we met.
I know.
So I also sit in that side of it as well. And I think, you know, we should make sure that, as you said, that East Harlem is benefiting. It is East Harlem space, Randall's Island.
Mhm.
And again, I really do want to commend you and Ben for all the years of coming back, reworking and, you know, just going through the trials and tribulations, but really coming with a great outcome. And you know, we look forward to supporting you as we go forward. I say, you know, if you can take advantage, you know, when you mentioned that about the balls, Ben, I did remember, you know, when what was his name? Jamie, that used to come out to us at the site.
Yeah.
And used to do the program. So, and they're right, these things, like we would set it up in the gym in a few minutes or set it outside in the playground and just give the kids balls and rackets and let it go to work. So I think Jamie was always riding around his car with a whole bunch of rackets as well. But
Yeah.
you know, we've asked and you've come through, and I know we still may challenge you at different times, but again, we really think this partnership is one that really supports the work and supports East Harlem youth. So thank you both. And Ryan, thank you also. I know you're part of that crew over there as well.
Yes, thanks for having us too.
So we definitely want to look at where we could do in our after school programs. I attend a meeting this week at the East Harlem Consortium. So, you know, there's some other CBO leadership at that meeting as well. It might be a good time for you to come back, Daniel, and do a little quick presentation like this with them as well. So we can get, you know, they're more health, but we have Lou that runs Scan, and we have, what's the name, Erica, that just took over for Union Settlement. So they also run after school programs and CBOs, and also run out of schools, community schools as well. So
Yeah, David, I mean, I think you got my cell phone, but okay, let's just text and just tell me when and I'll show up. Yeah.
Great. Are there questions from the members? I know most of the members here are newer to the, Xavier may remember, and John, some of the old back and forths that we had. But, you know, again, the partnership has been good. You've been responsive. And again, we look forward to you continuing to grow. And
Can I say one thing? It's going to sound cheesy, but it's absolutely true. I mean, you know, I've got experience with a lot of you know, community boards, but I mean, you know, we're not at the finish line yet. I said we got a lot of work we want to do in the future, but like David, I mean, this committee, you know, Hector and the guys, like, you know, you guys made our programs way better. You know, it's like, you know, the critiques and, like, you know, helping us to understand what the needs were. You know, we created scholarship programs in response to what we heard from you and our partners. So it's like, you know, it really is an example of, you know, I'm really proud of it because it made us way better, this interaction.
We also, and who knew that Ben's name was Bennett? So, you know, until we on Zoom. I have Xavier with his hand up. So we move to our chair, Xavier Santiago. Hi, Xavier.
Hey everyone, I'm you know, to apologize. I'm a little bit dressed down because I'm in the throes of festival planning because we go live Wednesday. My big thing is, and Dave and I have had extensive conversations, as have we, as executive, about real and meaningful partnerships. really, and sometimes it's kind of, I liken it as we approach in November, Thanksgiving dinner. We don't always have to get along, but we have to have a commonality of course of action with how we're going to help people and how we're going to make a difference. And I think that's truth speaks to power with that. When you listen, the criticism or the observations are made, and then we adjust. And that's ultimately how we win friends and influence people and make a difference for the community. So I appreciate that receptiveness. I look forward to that continued relationship developing and flourishing, and we help right many of the wrongs that are needed. So I just want to extend that, and let's keep pushing on. We could only hope that we had as many deepening ties. So that's where that is. But thank you very much for having me here, and look forward to the continued good work of this committee.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we did have some debates, as we would say, but again, healthy debate leads to great outcomes, right? And that's what it's about, creating space for our kids, the opportunities. And yes, we want to expose our children to, you never know you like it until you experience it, right? So that's always the thing. And it's funny, my 10-year-old daughter just started playing basketball. We went out, shot around, took her to Millbank over there with Casper in the program. And you never know unless you try it. Now, I took my grandson that's 6'1" at 15, and he can't stand basketball. But you got to try and error. And so, as we've seen, tennis can create opportunities for kids through education, through sports, and again, just the opportunity. And like you said, Daniel, there's some stars in East Harlem, and unless we expose them, we may never find them.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm going to email this presentation, Khalid, to you, and obviously, David, you're on that thread that we're on with Angel. And then, yeah, just, text me or email me, and I'll come and present as, to
Great.
whoever.
Great. Any other questions? Hi, Natasha, I see you joined us. If not, we will say thank you and much appreciated for your presentation tonight, and look
Thank
forward
you.
to working continuously on exposing our kids to tennis and sports. So thank you.
Talk soon.
So we will resume our normal course of business. We will now go through the informational updates. So Rosa, you are the informational update for today because nobody else is here. Dr. Christie, we let her go too quick, but the fact that she's here every month, I think was okay for her to leave early today. So thank you all again. Rosa, so within Rosa, you there, Rosa? Rosa might be.
I am here.
Very good, Rosa. So I made a list of all the resolutions, Rosa. We have a whole lot coming out of CEC. So if you would please give a quick update, and we could talk a little bit about the resolutions and make a decision whether we will vote on them tonight or hold them to next month. Generally, again, with so many, we would like people, I don't know if everybody's had a chance to read them prior to, but if not, I really would people like to move it along next month. But Rosa, please, I will shut up. Or I'll be quiet.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Rosa Diaz, CEC4 President, CEC District 4 President. Our monthly meeting is November 9th at CBE1, starting at 6 p.m. I will forward that information. I believe I'll forward the information to David. I will forward it again tonight. Also, we're going to have presentations from the high school superintendent and their designees. They will highlight their school. Sorry about the background noise. We're also going to have student-led presentations of their schools, and also Lexington Academy is also going to highlight their own school. On November 4th, we had a book bag distribution and school supplies distribution in PS 57, sponsored by Harlem Sigma Fraternity. We also will be having probably our turkey distribution on November 14th. That is pending. I did drop down my information. I will drop it again. And we're also going to have our District 4 Wonderland in December. So keep tuned for that information to come. And as David said, we voted on a lot of resolutions on October 12th. All of them passed because they're essential. Yeah, I'll leave that information to you, David, because I don't have it in front of me. Thank you. I think you're muted. Did I? Hold on.
That means I got to say it all over again. Okay. So yes, thank you,
Yes,
Rosa.
now.
We do have
Of
6 resolutions that were passed in the CEC. And again, as we continue to work together in collaboration with our CEC members, as well as Community Board 11, we only strengthen our ask in the community. So some of the resolutions that we passed at our previous CEC, and I'm going to, hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at them. If not, we will resend them out. Resolution to implement COVID protocols in schools following holiday breaks. So for instance, when kids go on a long holiday break, let's say for the Thanksgiving holiday, as we know, many kids travel. The idea is that we would make sure that kids are tested before coming back so that if they were COVID, they would take the proper precautions. I mean, there's a lot more in it to read. I'm just going to give the headlines and topics real quick. If anybody wants to raise any questions, please do. And then we will more than likely vote on them next month. Resolution for calling New York City DOE to ensure all schools have adequate air conditioning. And, you know, those of you that don't know, many of our schools, because of electrical incapacity, do not have air conditions in many different spaces throughout the building, such as the cafeterias, auditoriums, even classrooms. It becomes unbearable in May to work in a school that does not have air conditioning. And I can testify that the summer rising, it was with a full building of kids in the building. We also create additional heat. It is very hot. And I really recommend that we not only pass this, but we also advocate for it. Resolution for a task force to be established on reducing class size. And this is something we took a resolution in the past regarding as well, the need for classes to be smaller. And I think as we learned with COVID, and particularly I did when we were in the school with smaller class sizes, so many kids fared better. So many kids were able to get additional attention and time that they wouldn't normally get in a normal class of 20 something, 24, up to 30 kids. Resolution calling for the permanent elimination of discriminatory admission methods for middle and high school standards. So this is something Dr. Christie and even Rosa talked a little bit about last month, was the screening process for middle schools. So again, we really want something that's more equitable and more fair to all students within the city. Please, again, read through these things. Resolution for calling Mayor Adams to extend the emergency declaration allowing CECs and other boards to continue meeting virtually, such as we do. And we know that we're ready to go live on the drop of a dime if this thing is not extended. But we are asking for it to be extended to able to provide more hybrid meetings. We have learned that more people stay in our meetings, except for tonight, than they necessarily do when we're live. Resolution to amend New York State Education Law 2853 facilities regarding charter school co-locations in New York public school buildings. So some of the issues around that have been due to COVID, due to other reasons. Maybe attendance in the building is lower. Maybe the enrollment is lower. And we're concerned that that would be looked at as space that a charter school could come into, as opposed to maybe making the adjustment so that we increase the student population that currently is at that school. So those are 6 resolutions that we have before us. Just to bring idea for next month as well, as we're meeting on CEC, we're also going to address resolutions to bring migrant students to District 4 to be part of the educational. We have a lot of dual language programs in the school, and in light of all the stuff that's been happening and the immigrants that are now going to be housed at Randall's Island, District 4 would be the appropriate school for those kids to go to. Resolution to preserve CEC rights, and that one I have to get a little bit more understanding about, so forgive me, Rosa, if you can chime in, I'd appreciate it. and resolution to support reform for NYCHA's repair process. So again, many of our families that attend schools live in NYCHA facilities that have so many different maintenance needs, repairs, and there has to be a better job for it. So those, again, some of the resolutions. Does anybody have any question? Rosa, anything that I may have missed that you can add? Any thoughts, any bottles, any bones, as they say?
So yes, the NYCHA resolution is to be voted on November 9th. And there's administrative assistance resolution, also voted on November 9th. If you want to hear more information about it, please join via Zoom or in person. And then I believe we have the co-location we voted on October 12th. That's a very important one. I believe there's a question, Claudia.
Claudia, I'm sorry. Yes, Claudia.
Yes, I just wanted to say that NYCHA has just has instituted a new system for the repairs here. It was just instituted about 2 weeks ago. So I think we should be more specific in the ask of the revamping of the system.
Absolutely. So I again, that's why I'm saying, the last three resolutions are ones that are being brought up. I just wanted to introduce them, and I will send them out after the meeting on Wednesday if they are passed, so that we really can address all these at the next board meeting and not wait another month to address them. But it is good to hear what NYCHA. I would love to see what they have proposed in comparison to what's in the resolution. You know what I'm saying, Claudia?
Yeah, as it stands right now, what it is, you still call the 718-707 number, and you get your ticket. And when the responder comes, if there's any additional work, what happens now is that they give you a slip of paper where we have like a neighborhood coordinator who schedules the date for the repair that is needed. Now, it's putting more responsibility back on the residents, but the issue with that is that there aren't enough neighborhood coordinators, because for one person to be scheduling everything from all types of different skilled trades, they would cover 5 to 6 developments. And as we know, we have over 1,000 units in most of the developments around the NYCHA communities.
Right, and East Harlem in itself and South Bronx have an inundated amount of NYCHA facilities that are not in every neighborhood through the city. So that's interesting.
Absolutely. Okay,
that would be good to see how it all plays out. Again, I think this is something else. Maybe, Rosa, we should also look at passing on to our housing committee, because it deals directly with housing issues as well. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, Claudia. Thank you for that information. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on any resolutions? Again, please read them so we can vote on them, very quickly next month. John, I see your hand up. I'm sorry.
No problem, David. That means you'll be handing that over to me. I'm the chair of the housing committee.
Oh, okay, John. So yeah, I'm glad that you're in here, because again, while it affects many of our children and impacts on youth, I think this is really something that we should forward to the housing committee. And maybe one of us, Rosa or myself, can get on and just give a little blurb about it when, if you present it as well. Any other thoughts? Questions? Again, as I said at the onset of the meeting, fortunately, my assistant director was promoted and will run our Hope Leadership Academy on 114th and Madison. But that has created a little hole for me as we run a license program. Both of us are on the license. One of us always have to be there. And unfortunately, till I find a replacement for that role, I will be locked down I'm hoping the meetings go live because it'll be easier for me to get to the live meeting than it would be to get home on the Zoom meeting. But again, I look forward to working with everybody, working on these issues, and really promoting and developing the youth task force. So I did have to cancel the meeting earlier. I will look at a time that does not conflict with other board, but it would have to be after 6:30 so that I can ensure I get home to facilitate the meeting. Although I am really, and I believe I said this to Natasha, that I'm really looking to turn over the youth task force to the vice chair and allowing the vice chair to run that component with me as a sitting member, but not as leading it. So Natasha and I will meet, and also with Khalid to further explore how we begin that process. So again, I apologize if we weren't able to make that meeting earlier. At 5:30 to 6 is dismissal, so I cannot be anywhere but in the dismissal area that we have at the program set up to deal with issues of parents. So again, I apologize. I hope this doesn't go on too long. And hopefully I can find a replacement quick. We do have some people that we are looking at, so hopefully one of them will turn out to be. So again, I thank everybody here. Claudia, thank you for getting on when you got on, because we were just going to cancel the meeting. I never look to not have quorum or to conduct the meeting. It is very important for all of us to be in this space. Again, if people are not going to be, let us know, so then that way we're just not waiting. Or if you're going to be late, let me know as well, because we'll factor that into the waiting time. And I'm glad we extended it long enough for you to get on, Claudia, so thank you so much. Any other thoughts? Any other questions? With that said, I think, we've had a full night already. Khalid, any suggestions, any other ideas, thoughts? Chair, Xavier?
I have no suggestions for you. Of course, I'll just, you already mentioned the task force initiative planning. I messed up on a slide.
No, you're good.
Yeah, this is your new business. If anyone has any new business to address. Oh, Xavier.
Xavier, please.
Hey, so no new business, but with the youth task force, I'd really like, if you don't mind, David, at executive next Thursday, just give a full debrief on it.
Sure.
So the other leaders, that would be really helpful to plug in.
Yeah.
Again, with our task force to get purchased, I'd love for, that's the space where we can share and really think tank.
Great. What I'll also do is send out like that original proposal we did, so that they can see it. We're going to amend it. It doesn't have to be as long, but at least give people some idea of the work that went into this prior to present. Thank you.
No, thank you. The only other thing I was going to say is, other than great meeting, sorry, it's a bit late for announcements. If you don't mind, if I make a quick announcement.
Please.
Last year we had supported, and I'm taking off one hat, putting on another. And unfortunately, the chair of the board from the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival wasn't able to make it because of a family emergency to present to executive and full board. But we're going live this week, so I want to let the community know that November 9th through the 13th, there's going to be a Movies for Minis on Sunday at 12. So a lot of fun animated films, and just want people to come out and have a good time. And I would be remiss, because proud of Puerto Rican roots, as we've opined over the years. Rosie Perez is accepting the Lifetime Achievement Award on Wednesday, so at El Museo del Barrio. So I think that's just really good. We hold up our icons and luminaries. So that's the little plug. And I think it's really great, this work, because again, the reason I kind of bridge with youth and our people who've paved the way, the trailblazers, is because they need someone to look to, someone to look up to, and to say, I can do that too. So that's it. All right, enough from me. Great job, everyone.
Thank you. Natasha?
My question is, do you want me to present to executive about the youth task force, because I'm the one who's running it?
I would like that. I think, what does our chair think? I think we both do it, but I'll let you take the lead. Absolutely. Then I'll make sure we make our time to meet this week.
All right, and executive is when again?
Next Thursday.
All right.
Right,
Yeah.
Xavier, next Thursday, not this Thursday.
Yeah, not this Thursday, next Thursday. Yes, and yes. I think Nat, you and I have talked when you've been at events, beside the love of music and everything. I had people who activated me when I was your age, and now I sound like an old fogey kind of thing, but like, it's really cool when you come into the room and just talk. Like, that's what we want to hear. And that's what I aspire to instill to my kids. And I had really great mentors, like David's been mentors, and so many of us in this space have. So I just, yeah, you both come on, tag team, and pitch it. That's it.
Very good.
Okay.
We'll be ready. Right, Ed?
Ah.
I'm the
Don't
one
just
going
breathe,
crazy
come
right
in.
now.
It's a dialogue. It's a dialogue. That's all it is. And have fun.
All right. Yeah.
I've been throwing Natasha in front of people. She even got up in front of the mayor at where was it, Johnson Center, and she was supposed to talk about how youth violence, and got up and talked about the gardens, because that's the passion that Natasha has for gardens and the community in the garden. And we've heard a lot about her garden as well. So I'm always truly, I always say, since I've worked with youth, the youth say better for the work that I've accomplished with them than I could ever say. And so, Natasha, we look forward to your presentation next week, and I'll just be a fly on the wall. With that all said, I guess that's it with new business. Any old business? No, old business we already did, so new business. I think we're done, Khalid. We could do the roll call. Wow, 2 meetings in Community Board 11 that ended before 8 o'clock last Thursday and tonight.
Kind of scary.
It is a little scary.
Okay, let me just
Yes,
run
yes.
through. Perfect. Okay. Rosa Diaz,
Present.
thank you. Angela Donadell has requested excusal. David Giordano,
Present.
John Green.
Out.
I'll take that as a present. Claudia Perez,
Present.
thank you. Natasha Rodriguez,
Present.
thank you. Isaac Scott,
Present. Good night, everybody.
thank you. Russell Schuler, absent. Jason Wu, absent.
Wow, we
There you
got
go.
to stand at the minute. We sure do, and happened really quick.
Yes.
Well, again, I thank everybody. Thank you for your patience. Those of us, thank you for waiting till we had quorum. Again, it's so important that we do make sure we have quorum and that we do conduct the meeting. It never looks good if we are not prepared and don't have a meeting. Thank you again. I look forward to seeing everybody, continuing to work with everyone. Please, again, if you're interested in the Youth Task Force and developing that, please reach out. And I look forward to working with Natasha to lead that task force.
Reach out to me also if you want to be on the task force,
Yes.
just that way I have everyone's emails, because I don't know if I have necessarily everyone's emails who is on the committee. So
Well, I think we all got a list of things, but I'll check. I'll check, Natasha. Okay.
all right, good night.
Well, have a good night, everybody. See you when we see you in the full board or wherever. Again, I want to thank Sport Time for coming today. It's been a work in progress, and they have learned to be responsive, and we've learned to better get kids involved in things that would benefit them. So thank you all and have a wonderful night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Don't forget to vote if you haven't already.
Yes, right. I was gonna go vote tomorrow, John. What are you talking about? Right. Yes, get out and vote.